This week for Tactical Tuesday, we are going to continue our Getting Back to the Basics series, and we're going to discuss arguably the best upgrade you can do for your mil-spec AR-15, and that is to upgrade the trigger. Welcome back to the channel, guys. So before we dive into today's topic, we just wanted to invite all of you to like, comment, and subscribe to the Modern Warriors channel. Doing so really does help us out. It lets us know that you're enjoying this content. And honestly, if you're not enjoying the content, it gives you an opportunity to tell us what you would like to see or what you would change about the channel. Any interaction is always a good interaction. So guys, get down in that comment section and let us know what you think. So moving on into today's video. As we mentioned in the intro, for today's Tactical Tuesday, we are going to discuss arguably one of the best upgrades that you can do for your AR-15, and that is to upgrade your trigger. Now, in front of me here, I have the Geissele SSA-E trigger, which is probably the most popular AR-15 trigger amongst the employees here at Modern Warriors. And there's a good reason for that. Geissele has continually set the bar very high for building and creating triggers that are not only performance-driven triggers, but that are also incredibly reliable triggers, which is very important when you're talking about a key component in the AR-15. The great thing about upgrading a trigger on an AR-15 is you can take your basic mil-spec classic style AR-15 and with a simple trigger swap, you can make it feel like a race gun by simply swapping out that one part. But in doing so, you want to make sure that you're picking a good quality trigger, because much like every other component of the AR-15, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of options available to upgrade or swap out parts on an AR-15. Swapping out parts is pretty easy to do, but you want to make sure that you're swapping those parts out with good quality parts. Otherwise, you're going to be doing yourself a disservice later down the road when you actually need to use that firearm, whether it's for competition use or, heaven forbid, in a defensive situation. And as mentioned before, not all aftermarket components are created equal. And that's why we wanted to really focus in on the Geissele SSA-E trigger. Again, it is one of our favorite triggers that we offer here at the shop, and really, Geissele as a whole, their triggers are fantastic. They really have taken that extra time to make sure that their triggers are made from good quality materials, as well as are designed in such a way that you can maintain that excellent mil-spec reliability. In fact, they are so reliable that they are some of the very few aftermarket triggers that are actually SOP mod certified, meaning they have been tested and proven to be reliable enough for use by those in the US SOCOM teams. And the way that Geissele achieves such excellent reliability is by creating triggers that are built out of extremely durable materials, such as wire EDM cut S7 tool steel, which has then been coated with a black oxide finish. They even use a full mil-spec power hammer spring, resulting in less likely instances of a light primer strike, and also include a patented safety sear. Now in front of me here, I do have a Noveske AR-9. It's one of their kind of PCC carbines, but the real important part of why I have this gun in front of me is because it has a Geissele SSA-E trigger in it. And as can be seen here, now the trigger has a very soft take-up. It is a two-stage trigger. Now with that, you'll notice a little bit of take-up there, and then a crisp break. What's great about the SSA-E triggers is that they have a very tactile and a very distinct break, which allows you as a shooter to get very consistent trigger pulls, meaning that with some good practice, you as a shooter can be a very consistent and very fast shooter. Now, the other great thing about the SSA triggers is they have a very tactile reset. So there's no guessing when the trigger has been fully reset, allowing you, again, to be much quicker on the trigger and to be a much more consistent shooter. Now the SSA-E trigger is one of Geissele's many two-stage triggers. However, if you would prefer a single-stage trigger, Geissele offers those, as well as they offer triggers that have a flat face or a curved face trigger shoe, meaning pretty much whatever style of trigger that you want, they're gonna have a good offering for you. And the thing that's consistent across all of the Geissele triggers is that they're all incredibly reliable and insanely durable triggers. So there's not gonna be any worry about a lack of performance from these triggers, and you're going to be able to trust that they'll continue to function even in the harshest of conditions. And while Geissele triggers may not be the cheapest triggers on the market, what you're paying for when getting one of these over some of the lesser priced triggers is you really are paying not only for the performance and the feel of the trigger, but arguably more importantly, you're getting that durability and that reliability. I've said it many times throughout the video, but the reason that these are SSA-E certified and the reason that they are arguably some of the best triggers is because of the reliability of that trigger. There's really no point in upgrading a trigger, going from a mil-spec trigger, which is a very durable trigger, only to lose reliability by putting a much lighter sprung trigger in your AR-15. And while there's a lot of companies on the market that achieve a better feeling trigger by lightening up the springs, that can result in some bigger issues later down the road. In fact, I was recently in a shooting competition where a gentleman had put a aftermarket trigger in his AR-15, and because of the style of that trigger and the way that they achieve lightening up that trigger pull, it was resulting in light primer strikes, meaning that guy's firearm was not working during a pretty basic shooting drill during that competition, which, I mean, in a competition is just a competition. Unfortunately, it's gonna be frustrating because he's gonna lose points, he's gonna he's gonna lose time, but translate that to a real world scenario, that could be catastrophic if you ever needed to use that rifle for anything more than a competitive situation. If your trigger is constantly failing on you, then what good is it? So going with something like a Geissele, even though it costs a little bit more than some of the other options on the market, is going to give you that peace of mind knowing that it's always going to work, which at the end of the day is one of the most important features and factors that you need to consider when looking for a good quality firearm or firearm accessory. Now you may ask yourself why you would want to upgrade an AR-15 trigger, because let's face it, the standard mil-spec trigger does a fantastic job and it is very reliable. But the standard mil-spec trigger also leaves a lot to be desired. The trigger pull is not fantastic. It's not going to win any awards by any stretch of the imagination, especially when compared to aftermarket triggers such as the Geissele series of triggers. Typically speaking, and from our calculations, the average mil-spec trigger pull breaks at right around 6 pounds, which again, may not be the worst trigger pull in the world, but it leaves a lot of room for improvement. Now, focusing in on the Geissele SSA-E trigger for a moment, with it being a 2-stage trigger, it consistently has a breaking point of around 3.5 pounds, which is a considerable improvement over the standard mil-spec trigger. And what that means for you as a shooter is that it will allow you to be a more accurate shooter more easily. It also can allow you to become a faster shooter, as it will allow you to pull the trigger much quicker. The other benefit to having a high quality trigger is it allows for shorter resets, meaning you can be a more consistent shooter from shot to shot because you don't have to move your finger quite as far when pulling the trigger. While it's rather difficult to translate the actual performance difference between a mil-spec trigger and a aftermarket trigger through a video or on camera, we are more than happy to allow you to come into the shop and get your hands on the rifles and really feel the difference in person so you can see for yourself how big of a performance increase you can get from going from something like a standard mil-spec AR-15 trigger and going to a higher quality Geissele trigger. The improvement is drastic, and you will notice right away why it's worth saving up a little bit longer and spending a couple extra bucks on a high quality trigger such as a Geissele. So guys, as always, we mention it every week, but if you have any questions, please always feel free to come by the shop. We love spending time with you and allowing you to get hands-on experience with the equipment that we offer here at the shop. We feel that the best way for you to fully understand the quality difference in the products that we offer is by checking it out in person. So if you have the ability to come by the shop and see our world-class showroom, we highly invite you to come by and check it out for yourself. If you're not able to do so, we completely understand, and we're more than happy to spend some time with you over the phone, answering any questions either through emails or our chat service on our website. Any way you want to reach out to us and get your questions answered, we're more than happy to help you out. And guys, as always, continue to train hard, train smart, put the time in at the range, and get those reps in. And until next week, God bless you.